Boys, it is fight week. UFC 300 is just around the corner. We are just a few days away and I am so excited. Now this is, in my opinion, the best and greatest fight card in UFC history. But with that being said, just because it's the best and greatest doesn't mean we can't improve upon it. Now I know a lot of people are very upset with just the people on the card and they wish they had different matchups and all that stuff. And I am going to put a different matchup on this card. However, that's only going to be 1 out of the 10 things I'm going to change / add onto UFC 300. Because realistically, I could change a bunch of fighters and add a bunch of fighters on this card to make it even better. But that's not what this video is about. But let me know in the comments below, do you guys enjoy this kind of content? Do you want more? And without further ado, let's begin on how to make UFC 300 even better than what it already is. Starting with number 1, we're changing a matchup on this card. I know a lot of you guys probably already know what it is, but Bo Nickal, him versus Cody Brundage, especially being on the main card, that is just so shameful, having him above so many other previous champions. Honestly, one of the worst positions on the card. Plus, it's one of the fights that I have no interest in whatsoever. It's one of the worst fights on the card in my opinion. Now, we're going to keep Bo Nickal, obviously. We're not changing out Bo Nickal and keeping Cody Brundage. We're keeping Bo Nickal. He's going to stay on the main card. We're not going to change around the position or anything, but we are changing his opponent to someone a little bit more well-known, someone who will give him a more bump up in test, because we all know that's what we really want for Bo Nickal. We don't want him getting all these super easy opponents, considering how easy he's made every single one of his opponents look so far. So giving him someone a little bit higher up the rankings, someone more veteran in the Octagon, and that is the gatekeeper himself, GM3, Gerald Meerschaert. We're going to see if Bo Nickal can pass the GM3 test. And in my opinion, this is a lot more of a competitive fight than Cody Brundage. Plus, I think if this was the original fight, I could see a whole lot less of complaints going around social media. Because we all want to see Bo Nickal face some challenges in the UFC. And GM3 is a great way to gauge how good Bo Nickal actually is. With that being said, moving down the list, the rest of this is just purely like non-fighting matchmaking type of things. Like this one, I want every single fighter to come out with custom shorts. Now, I know it's already been confirmed that Max Holloway is going to get his floral shorts, and I'm not going to lie, this has already completely changed who I think is going to win that matchup. I can see a new mythical fighter being born on UFC 300 in Max Holloway with his floral shorts. And yeah, I don't want just a few fighters to get custom shorts. I want every single fighter on UFC 300 to get their own custom shorts. Now, I know it's already been confirmed that Max Holloway is getting his, Alex Pereira, Yan Lee, and Justin Gaethje, they're all getting custom shorts. Now I just want every single fighter to come out to their own custom shorts. I think that would be great. Plus then there's just more marketing and more stuff that UFC can sell as special 300 shorts, which is very important for one of my next things I want on this list. So with the custom shorts, that just makes UFC be able to make more and more money selling those shorts. So I just want UFC to make as much money possible. You'll see why in a little bit. But moving down to number 3. This one I've seen all over the place, but I want a special canvas, just like UFC 200, but I don't want that ugly yellow canvas. I'm not gonna lie, that was disgusting. What I think they should do, to have an all white and gold canvas signifying all of the champions on this card. I'm pretty sure it's just over 10% of every single champion in UFC history is on UFC 300, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, I know a lot of people were saying they wanted black and gold to fit the championship colors, but the problem is with the black and gold canvas, having the canvas be primarily black, it's going to be so hard to see any blood on the Octagon, and I know all of the fans love seeing that. So changing that black to white, I think would be the best move, because not only are you still signifying that it is a championship, you're just changing the black and white. And I think the white and gold would look so good, especially white and gold with all that blood on the Octagon. I think that's the best possible thing they can do for the UFC canvas. Moving up to number 4, like I said, how I want them to make as much money as possible. This is the biggest reason why. I want 300,000 fight bonuses, just like Gaethje said. I think that's an amazing idea. It will push every single fighter to make the fight as entertaining as possible. Now, I know UFC is a little bit stingy on this type of thing, so I don't think they're going to go all the way up to 300,000, but a compromise I am willing is 150,000 fight bonus. I think that's a perfect middle ground. bonuses are usually 50,000, so just times that by 3. It's a perfect way to incorporate 300, and there you go, 150,000. And I think this is one of the more likelier things that could happen for UFC 300. But with that being said, moving down to number 5, with those extra bonuses, I could see this being a super fast card, lots of knockouts, submissions, all that stuff. I don't see a lot of these fights going to decision actually, and because of that, I don't want to see a stupid amount of commercial breaks throughout the card. I want them to be prepared to have every single fight end inside the decision, so we're not waiting there when there's a first round knockout, waiting an extra like 10 to 15 minutes watching commercials and having the commentator just extend their conversation. I don't really want to see that. I want them to be ready for every single fight to end in like super highlight reel finishes, so I hope we're not waiting forever for every single fight to happen. Moving to number 6, this is where it gets really great. This one I know it's such a long shot, but I hope this happens. I want them to bring back the GOAT, Mike Goldberg. Could you imagine hearing Mike Goldberg back on the mic? Now, with that being said, I don't want him the whole UFC fight card. No, that's way too much in my opinion. That's too much. Mike Goldberg never really knew the most when it came to mixed martial arts, but he was just very, very entertaining. That's why I only want Mike Goldberg's on the early prelims. Give him that whole early prelim section. I don't know who the commentators are going to be for UFC 300. If I had to guess, it would probably be Joe Rogan, John Anik, and DC. Maybe take out either DC or John Anik and replace them for Mike for that early prelim section. Could you imagine how just electric that place would be, having Mike Goldberg announce the fight? And I could see the early prelims being stacked with knockouts, so having him with his classic catchphrase when the fight is over, this is one that I'm hoping to see in UFC 300, but at the end of the day, I highly doubt this is going to happen, unfortunately. Moving down to one that I could see happen slightly more then Mike Goldberg is moving to the prelim, so Mike Goldberg is out, but we're gonna put a former champion on the commentating desk. Now, when I say a former champion, I'm not meaning someone like Stipe. No, we don't want Stipe. I'm talking about someone that we're looking for their end of their career, someone where they can just, hang up the gloves. They don't have to do any more fighting, and they can go into this role and be like a DC for the UFC. And I think the perfect person to do that is gonna be my boy Alex the Great Volkanovski. Is it just me, or could you see Volkanovski doing stupidly well on the UFC commentating booth? I think Volkanovski could excel at that role. Plus then, I hate saying this because he is probably at this point in time my favorite UFC fighter. It would suck to see him, go down the Tony Ferguson path. I would not be sad if he also announces his retirement on UFC 300 on the mic. I wouldn't be sad about that. I would be very happy because then we can see him in more of these roles like DC, doing a lot of commentating for the UFC, and I just think Volkanovski would excel at that. Moving to number 8, probably the most likely out of all of these things, I want the front row of the audience to be nothing but to be UFC legends, stars. I want Chuck Liddell, Mark Holmans. I want all of those guys there. So every single time we go see the audience, we can see all the post and present legends of the game. I feel like that one's going to be like a no-brainer. I feel like we're going to see a lot of just legends at UFC 300. Moving to number 9, another one that I could see happening, especially because of what Dana posted on his Instagram recently. I want to see a Conor McGregor, or even I would settle with another big fight, like maybe like an Izzy fight versus Dricus, something like that. But mainly I want a Conor McGregor fight announced either at the press conference or at the end of UFC 300. I want something like that at UFC 300, either before or after the fights. Even Conor McGregor posted something on his Instagram, or even I think it might have been on X, pretty much saying exactly what I'm saying, and I think that would go dummy hard. But yeah, one that I think is extremely likely to happen. But then moving to number 10, the one that I think has absolutely no chance happening whatsoever, but I still want it. We all know that they're going to have everyone at the pre-fight interviews. We're going to have every single fighter on stage, which is great. However, I want every single fighter at the post-fight conference. They used to do this earlier in UFC, and I want them to bring it back. I don't care if you got viciously knocked out. like a Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green level of knocked out. I don't care if that happened to you. I want you at that press conference. We might see a bunch of Stipe Miocic at that press conference, but I don't care. I feel like I feel like that would be hilarious. The only thing that does suck is there's not a lot of like trash talkers or any real bad blood between any of the fighters, so it might not be as entertaining as it could be. By the end of the day, I still want to see it. And an honorable mention that I saw in some YouTube comments that I do want to see. Now this one again is like a 99.99999% chance that it will not happen. But could you imagine if there was like a secret main event? Could you imagine if, let's say, Pereira versus Jamal Hill is over, they're giving each of them their post-fight speech, and then all of a sudden Dana comes onto the microphone announcing that there's one last fight, maybe like a Conor fight, an Izzy fight, just a huge fight to end the show. That was a complete secret to everyone. That would be amazing in my opinion. That would be crazy. I don't see how that could ever be topped. But again, would that ever happen? In my opinion, I don't think that would ever happen. I don't see how you could keep that secret that entire time. But let me know in the comments below, is there any other things you guys would add to UFC 300 to make it even better? If you made it to the end of the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss any of my newest videos. It helps me out so much. Even just by leaving a like on this video, it helps me out with that YouTube algorithm. It's Rare MMA and we're here to take over this year, so help your boy out. And yeah, with that being said, there's really not that much else left to say except for I will see you guys in my next video.